My name is Heminis Doyle, and I welcome you all to the Everyday Consultants podcast show, where we talk about the uncertain trajectory it takes for stepping into the shoes of a consultant's mind, from adapting to constantly learn, to research and developing their own theories, objectives, and opinions, for advising businesses in their area of expertise, to communicate the fine line between an SME and polymath. Thanks for taking the time to join me, and let's tune in into today's episode of learning more about what the joys of celebrating others can do for your overall personality and good at heart image. So for today's topic, I guess you could primarily say that we're talking about an area where greatness comes from what you have experienced, and that when you put that greatness into implementation, it becomes even better to see the celebration of others for that day, for what has sort of dawned upon them, whether that's an occasion, whether that's a certain moment or an accomplishment, or just something that they got recognized for, or even simply an acceptance into a program they've been waiting for. Anything and everything pretty much counts in that scenario. And as consultants, we need to be cognizant of that, because it creates our personality of appreciative and humbleness, of that when something of good nature happens to XYZ person, the same feeling will come from the similar approach to their spectrum when something like that happens with you. And this is what you call developing that professional relationship, moving it forward so that you and them can make connection that can go forward and sometimes turn into more than a valuable professional connection amongst each other. And this is, networking, connections, relationships, they're all very important. But in this mindset, they're the most important, because you are making that effort to show gratitude to what has happened to them. And moments like those is what stretches your opportunities to meet new people, to develop those relationships with the ones that you showed that sympathy towards, and also have an image around other folks that, if anything XYZ happens, this person will be standing by me, depending on where we stand professionally, because of his good at heart image, and that it's just not about him all the time, or depending on how you as the person playing it up, or even the they and them personality is what it is. So the complete joys of putting this celebration into perspective can sometimes make an all-rounding perspective towards you, and sometimes also leading to greater efforts in being recognized for something at a greater potential. Because connections would help you during times when you are lost, or when you're not able to find an opportunity, and especially in consulting, where networks are the most important to help get yourself grabbed on an opportunity that just might come up all of a sudden, the client comes through, the market mention's so great, and they pull you through. These other soft skills come in handy long-term wise of saving your careers as much as you know the technical side or the non-technical side of the field that you pursue, which is also very critical in terms of getting the work done. But this is the other part of it in which it helps you stay relevant, stay on top of your relationships, and also keeps you alive with what is happening in the company. Because yes, if you don't have those things in place, sometimes moving from one project to another can be very difficult and sometimes lead to areas where you get stuck on another project without the bench probably, and that project being bad in the sense where you have no support system to voice over or to help you through those times, or to have someone like you, or to at least have someone that can stand up with the type of work you're doing. And yeah, when you start the consulting in the beginning, it sometimes does feel hard because you're on a first project and everything. And in those scenarios, it's easy to make those connections, especially if you never met that manager or you're new to that industry. And so it becomes easier in the first 2 to 3 projects that you tend to work on. But you then want to maintain them after that and not just leave them stale, because those are your options. Because 1, you worked with them, 2, you know their style, 3, you might have been on them on deployment calls or whatever it is on that project that you were trying to achieve for the client. And so your relationship, the way to start a conversation, is all to cross those borders to the line of work you did for that client in the consulting company. And why this wraps back to joy of celebrating when you're in a project. Sometimes someone gets a huge achievement and the team gets a huge achievement, or even a team gets that huge achievement of delivering a milestone with the client. And in those scenarios, you have to be appreciative of the team collaboration for that individual put in the work. Because as you start to step into the industry, you've already realized it's not about the you, the me, the us, but it's more about people and the consumers. But the more important thing is you are just one figure out of the many million or billion people that are getting this type of work done in different industries. And so you have to represent yourself as an identity of a brand, that you are representing an XYZ company to the lens of who are you representing yourself as, being one person. So if you are representing XYABC company in that spot for that client, that shows the type of people, mission, culture that company has taught those employees to behave in a certain manner, which impresses or does the exact opposite in describing, in being described by the language that an individual or professional is speaking from his present. So I guess to sort of summarize the main key points of the celebrating of others and showing a better personality and gooder image is you are representing yourself as a brand and the company you work for. 1. 2, whether project work, whether any sort of work, whether that have to be an accomplishment with another connection and outside forces, or whether that be for, book they released or like a program they got admitted into, or a cert that they accomplished that was very difficult. Anything, just showing that good enough image so that you are more approachable with them and the folks that see you as that person. And 3, making sure your networking and your connections and professional relationships are one of those skills that are on top of it, or at least on top of your list priorities that are necessary for you to get through downturns, struggling times, and even maintaining the bandwidth plus joy of revolving that relationship for future discussions and greater opportunities for the both of you, and also respect being built from both sides. And the thing about consulting is they teach you a lot of these skills by throwing so much at you, so that when you do face yourself in a certain single industry, if you're focused, you're able to put those skills to use in the backworks. So whether or not it's a part of the company's mission, you're already doing it, making you 2-3 steps ahead than the person that didn't, or at least wasn't aware about it from the back end. So hopefully you were able to gain some information for today's episode. If you enjoy listening to this type of topic, please be sure to let us know in the comments below, or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and let us know your thoughts and comments about the Everyday Consultants podcast show. And thank you for taking the time to listen to our episode today. Till next time, stay curious, stay broad, stay creative, and continue putting that consultant's hat on. And till next time, stay tuned for the next episode of Everyday Consultants, coming right around the corner. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast and also leave a review of how much you enjoyed listening to Everyday Consultants. While you're at it, be sure to provide any feedback you might have on my LinkedIn posts in the comments below. And if you know of a friend who's curious about learning quick bites of information regarding the life of a consultant, then be sure to recommend my show to them, or anyone that you think might benefit from listening to it. If you want to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn, Reddit, and Twitter by searching my name on the platform. If you're interested in looking at some of my other professional content that is currently in the works, then in that case, you can take a look at my Linktree portfolio that can be found below in the description or show notes of this episode. Don't forget to tune in to listening to all episodes of Everyday Consultants and wherever you're able to find your local podcast. Until next time, stay broad, be curious, and be passionate about listening to a conversation where knowledgeable advice gets provided about the world of consulting, about a consultant in our next episode. Peace out.